February 1946, Hamburg, Germany. The conscription notice trembled in Greta Hoffmann's thin fingers as she read the words that would alter her life's trajectory. By order of the Allied military government, you are hereby required to report for work assignment at the American Officers Club. The 27-year-old widow, whose husband had disappeared on the Eastern Front, stared at the official document with its American Eagle letterhead. Her first thought was not of herself, but of her 2 children huddled around the apartment's only heat source, a small stove burning furniture scraps. Who would care for them during her mandated 10-hour shifts? Who would stand in the ration lines? The questions multiplied as rapidly as her racing heartbeat. Across occupied Germany that winter, 84,076 German women received similar notices. The Western Allies needed kitchen staff, cleaners, and service personnel for their rapidly expanding network of officers' clubs, enlisted men's messes, and military facilities. With German men either dead, missing, or interned in denazification camps, women became the available workforce. Allied military government records show that by March 1946, German female conscripts staffed 137 American facilities in the Western occupation zones. The winter of 1945–46 would later be recorded as the Hunger Winter, the most severe famine in modern German history. Official ration cards provided German civilians with approximately 1,200 calories daily when supplies permitted, less than half pre-war consumption. Red Cross reports documented average weight loss of 22 pounds per adult since war's end. Children exhibited signs of malnutrition, distended bellies, thinning hair, recurring infections. Hospital records from Hamburg showed 131 civilian deaths from starvation-related causes in January 1946 alone. Against this backdrop of deprivation, the American occupation forces maintained standards that appeared otherworldly to German observers. Military supply records confirmed that American personnel received 3,600 calories daily. Officers' clubs served multi-course meals featuring meat at every dinner, eggs and bacon at breakfast, desserts with real sugar, and coffee with cream. The average American base disposed of approximately 275 pounds of food waste weekly, according to quartermaster records, more than a German family's monthly ration allocation. "They throw away more than we eat," wrote Helga Brandt, a conscripted kitchen worker, in a censored but preserved letter. "Yesterday, I watched an American lieutenant scrape half a steak into the garbage. It was enough meat to feed my family for a week." The conscription program followed strict protocols. Women received notice 7 days before required reporting. Medical examinations eliminated those with communicable diseases or severe malnutrition. Approximately 14% of applicants, according to military medical records. Wages were set at 75 Reichsmarks monthly, higher than most available German employment, but insufficient given hyperinflation and black market prices. A single egg cost 30 Reichsmarks when available, coffee 800 Reichsmarks per pound. Resistance manifested immediately. In Bremen, 43 conscripted women staged a brief work stoppage. In Frankfurt, 26 failed to report and were subsequently arrested. Most dramatically, in Munich, 112 women appeared for assignment wearing black armbands. Their spokesperson, identified in military police records as Margaret Weber, delivered the declaration that would become symbolic. "Don't make us cook again for those who bombed our kitchens." Military government officials recognized the volatile dynamics. Internal memoranda from February 1946 acknowledged the problematic optics of compelling hungry women to prepare food they cannot themselves eat. Nevertheless, staffing requirements prevailed. Occupation policy dictated that Germans would support occupation infrastructure, a principle enshrined in Allied agreements. The initial encounters between German women and American kitchens created profound cognitive dissonance. Women who had subsisted on rutabaga soup and bread made from sawdust-supplemented flour entered facilities with walk-in refrigerators stocked with butter, eggs, and meat. Photographs from the period show German kitchen workers standing wide-eyed before shelves of canned goods: peaches, pineapple, condensed milk, items unseen in Germany since before the war. At Base 214 near Heidelberg, conscripted workers encountered industrial mixers, multiple refrigeration units, and gas ranges with consistent fuel supply. Technological marvels in a nation where most civilians cooked on makeshift stoves burning debris. The American kitchens consume more electricity daily than was allocated to entire German neighborhoods weekly. For the conscripts, the first weeks brought physical and emotional trauma. Military employment records document numerous incidents. A woman fainting at the sight of a 25-pound turkey being prepared, another weeping while measuring sugar by the cupful rather than the gram, several caught hiding bread rolls in their clothing to take home to children. "We are asked to nourish those who starve our families," wrote Ingrid Müller in a diary preserved in the Frankfurt City archives. "Each egg I crack is one my daughter will not eat. Each potato I peel is taken from German soil to feed foreign soldiers while our own veterans beg on street corners." By early March 1946, approximately 12% of conscripted women had been dismissed for various infractions: sabotage, theft, or inability to perform required duties. Those who remained faced a daily moral struggle: follow orders and receive payment that might sustain their families, or resist and face consequences that would further imperil their children. The stage was set for what military government officials would later term the most successful unplanned re-education initiative of the occupation period. As winter yielded to spring, the dynamics in occupation kitchens would transform in ways neither the Americans nor the German women could have anticipated. The women who had declared, "Don't make us cook again," were about to embark on a culinary and cultural journey that would reshape their lives and German society for decades to come. March 1946. Frankfurt American Base. Emma Schultz clutched her identification card as she passed through the checkpoint gate, joining 17 other German women in a military truck. The vehicle's metal benches, still ice-cold in the early spring morning, contrasted sharply with the worn wooden chairs of her bombed-out apartment building. As the truck rumbled through streets lined with rubble, Emma caught fragmentary glimpses of her devastated city. Shattered facades like broken teeth against the grey sky, crowds gathering at ration distribution points, children scavenging for coal. Processing began at 600 hours. Military efficiency permeated every aspect. Women underwent secondary medical examinations. Weight recorded: Emma, 43 kilograms, 18 kilos below her pre-war weight. Dental inspection, 12 cavities noted, and tuberculosis screening. Fingerprinting followed, then photographing against white backdrops, holding identification numbers. By 0800, each woman had received a uniform: 2 grey cotton dresses with white aprons, hairnets, and sturdy shoes that felt impossibly heavy after years of wearing makeshift footwear repaired with cardboard inserts. "You will address all military personnel as Sir," instructed the translator, a Polish-American corporal whose German carried an unfamiliar accent. "You will not speak unless spoken to. You will follow all instructions immediately." The rules continued: no removing food from premises, no unauthorized conversations with military personnel, no deviations from assigned recipes. Violations would result in immediate termination and potential prosecution. The first glimpse of the officers' club kitchen left many women speechless. Martha Weiss, who later documented her experiences in a 1957 memoir, described entering a gleaming world of stainless steel and abundance that seemed like a hallucination after years of cooking over wood fires in bomb shelters. The kitchen contained 6 gas ranges, 3 refrigerators, 2 freezers, electric mixers, and shelves stacked with aluminum pots. More metal than many German households had seen since before the war. Most shocking were the supplies. Flour in 50-pound bags, not the 200-gram rations Germans received weekly. Eggs by the gross, not the single egg that constituted a monthly luxury. Sugar stored in open bins, not the carefully measured 10-gram weekly allocation that Germans dissolved in warm water to maximize sweetness. Butter arrived in bricks weighing 5 pounds each, when most German children under 7 had never tasted real butter. The contrast generated physical reactions. Military reports documented 3 fainting incidents that first week. Helga Brandt recalled in a 1975 interview, "I saw an American soldier drain half a milk bottle, then pour the remainder down the sink. My body moved before my mind. I lunged forward shouting, 9! Only to be restrained by my supervisor. That half bottle represented more milk than my son had tasted in 6 months." Language barriers intensified the disorientation. Kitchen orders came in English, with minimal translation. German women struggled with unfamiliar terminology: broil, sauté, fold, whip. American portion sizes defied comprehension. Recipe cards specified steaks weighing 8 ounces each, equivalent to a German family's weekly meat ration. A standard dessert serving contained more sugar than a German adult received monthly. Waste became the most painful culture clash. Standard American military practice required disposing of unserved food after meals, approximately 17% of production according to quartermaster records. German women, who had survived by recovering every potato peel and breadcrumb, watched as entire trays of scrambled eggs, half-eaten rolls and meat scraps disappeared into garbage cans. Documented accounts describe women weeping at disposal stations, military police intercepting attempts to salvage discarded food, and confrontations between German staff and American mess sergeants over waste protocols. Resistance manifested in subtle forms. Kitchen supervisors noted declining efficiency, 22% below expected output during initial weeks. Recorded incidents included eggs broken, accidentally, sugar measurements that mysteriously fell short, cooking times extended to burn food slightly, and selective misunderstanding of instructions. Military authorities identified these as deliberate sabotage. German women later described them as unconscious responses to psychological trauma, watching abundance while their families starved. Some adapted more pragmatically. By late March, a sophisticated food smuggling network operated across American facilities. Methods documented in subsequent military investigations revealed ingenious techniques: hollow-heeled shoes filled with sugar, special undergarments with butter pockets, hairnets concealing chocolate pieces, and bread rolls compressed and hidden inside brassieres. Military police recovered 37 pounds of smuggled food items in March 1946 alone. The most significant innovation emerged from German resourcefulness: the mistake meal. This unwritten arrangement began when cooks accidentally prepared excess food that required disposal under military regulations. Instead of immediate disposal, German women convinced American supervisors to allow sampling for training purposes. These training sessions evolved into informal meals where German staff tasted American dishes, officially to understand proper preparation, unofficially to obtain desperately needed nutrition. April brought unexpected developments. Military records show declining incidents of theft and sabotage, replaced by increasing questions about American cooking techniques. German women began requesting English lessons focused on kitchen terminology. Several American mess sergeants documented German staff volunteering to stay after shifts to learn baking methods. The first reciprocal exchanges emerged: German women teaching American cooks traditional methods for potato preparation and bread making. "Something unexpected is happening in our kitchens," wrote Captain Thomas Reynolds in an April 1946 report to occupation authorities. "The women who arrived as hostile conscripts are showing curiosity about American methods. They're watching our techniques with the same intensity they once watched our waste. Yesterday I observed Frau Schmidt asking Sergeant Davis to demonstrate pie crust technique a second time. The interaction contained none of the tension present 2 weeks ago. What began as forced labor was transforming. The hunger for food was being matched by hunger for knowledge." German women who had said, "Don't make us cook again," were discovering that American kitchens offered more than just meals. They provided a glimpse of a different world, a different way of living, a different future. The kitchen revolution had begun. May 1946, Stuttgart Officers Club. Gerda Fischer watched intently as Sergeant Miller demonstrated the electric mixer, its steel beaters whirling through egg whites at a speed her hand-cranked egg beater could never match. Within 60 seconds, stiff peaks formed where moments before liquid had sloshed. The transformation seemed magical to a woman who had spent the past 3 years beating thin soup with a wooden spoon. Gerda's calloused fingers hovered near the machine, both eager and hesitant to touch this symbol of American abundance. "You try now," Sergeant Miller said, stepping back. Gerda tentatively gripped the mixer's handle, feeling its vibration pulse through her arm as the motor hummed. A smile spread across her face, the first the American had seen from her in 6 weeks of kitchen duty. This scene repeated across American facilities throughout occupied Germany. Military records from May 1946 document the shifting dynamic, German kitchen staff moving from resistance to engagement. Requisition forms show increasing German use of equipment previously avoided: refrigerators, pressure cookers, blenders. Maintenance logs record German women requesting instruction in appliance operation rather than letting Americans handle equipment. The transformation went beyond technology. It centered on food itself. German women encountered ingredients they hadn't seen in years: condensed milk, canned fruits, powdered eggs, shortening, baking powder. Each represented not merely food, but possibilities. A German worker identified as Frau Weber in an officer's journal wrote her first English sentence in May: "Please teaching me making cake with canned peaches." American mess sergeants, many with restaurant experience before military service, became impromptu culinary instructors. At the Frankfurt base, Sergeant James Williams started informal classes after shifts. His roster showed 12 German women attending voluntarily to learn techniques for bread, pastry, and sauce preparation. When questioned by superior officers about these unauthorized sessions, Williams defended them as improving kitchen efficiency. The classes continued with official blessing, expanding to 36 participants by June. The educational exchange flowed both directions. American cooks discovered German precision in food preparation. Captain Edward Moore's official report noted, "German staff have introduced superior methods for potato preparation, reducing waste by 23%. Their technique for stretching meat with breadcrumbs has improved our meatloaf substantially." This culinary dialogue revealed something unexpected: common ground amid occupation tensions. Food preservation methods particularly fascinated German women. Modern refrigeration represented more than convenience. It offered security against hunger. Helga Kraus, who later established a successful catering business in Heidelberg, recalled her amazement. "I watched Americans store leftover roast beef in the refrigerator, then serve it safely 3 days later. This was revolutionary. In Germany, we ate everything immediately, or risked illness." The turning point came when German women began voluntarily improving American dishes. Military dining records from June 1946 document unexpected menu enhancements: traditional bread dumplings appearing alongside American roasts, distinctive German-style gravies replacing standard military versions, familiar American desserts modified with European techniques. These innovations emerged not from orders, but from initiative. German women applying their culinary heritage to American abundance. The statistical evidence reveals this transformation clearly. In April 1946, documented kitchen incidents, theft, sabotage, conflict, averaged 7.4 daily across American facilities in the Western zones. By June, this number dropped to 1.2 daily. Simultaneously, voluntary overtime increased, German staff remaining after shifts to prepare special items or learn techniques. Wage records show 178 German women earning additional pay for extended hours, compared to none in April. More telling was the application increase. Military employment officers recorded 4,211 German women volunteering for kitchen positions in June 1946, positions that had required forced conscription 3 months earlier. The waiting list for American base employment grew so long that military authorities implemented a rotation system, allowing more women exposure to American culinary methods. Sensory experiences drove this remarkable shift. The smell of coffee brewing, real coffee with 7% chicory rather than the 93% ersatz version Germans had consumed for years. The texture of white bread made with uncontaminated wheat flour instead of the grey, gritty loaves containing sawdust stretchers. The sight of golden butter melting on hot vegetables rather than the bluish margarine substitute Germans called Hitler fat. These sensory memories, described in countless post-war interviews, created more effective propaganda than any poster campaign. Food handling revelations transformed German perceptions of health and cleanliness. Military kitchens enforced standards unfamiliar in resource-depleted Germany. Hand-washing stations with hot water and antibacterial soap, separate cutting boards for meat and vegetables, temperature monitoring for food storage, sanitization procedures for work surfaces. These practices, mundane to Americans, appeared revolutionary to Germans who had cooked in bomb shelters with minimal water access. Technical skills transferred rapidly. By July 1946, German kitchen staff operated complex equipment independently. Commercial-grade mixers, pressure cookers, multi-burner ranges, mechanical meat slicers. Employment evaluations showed 87% of German women achieving proficient ratings in equipment operation within 3 months. A standard American recruits typically reached after 6 months. "The transformation has been remarkable," wrote Colonel Robert Thompson in a July 1946 assessment. "Women who arrived suspicious and hostile now demonstrate enthusiasm for American culinary methods. They're not merely following instructions but innovating, combining German precision with American abundance to create something new. This unplanned cultural exchange may prove more effective than our formal re-education programs." Most significantly, German women began teaching each other. Informal knowledge networks developed as kitchen workers shared American techniques with friends and family. Handwritten recipe cards circulated through neighborhoods, instructions for chocolate cake with canned cherries, meatloaf with tomato sauce, pancakes with maple syrup. These recipes, adapted for German conditions but preserving American concepts, represented more than food. They carried the seeds of cultural transformation beyond base boundaries and into German society itself. The kitchen revolution had succeeded where military directives failed. Through flour and butter, through sugar and eggs, through the simple act of preparing food together, the first fragile connections formed between occupiers and occupied. German women who had entered American kitchens as conscripted workers were emerging as cultural translators, carrying American abundance into German scarcity, one recipe at a time. August 1946, Munich American Officers Club. Margaret Weber, the same woman who had worn a black armband during her conscription 5 months earlier, now moved confidently through the dining room, organizing table arrangements for an upcoming reception. No longer confined to kitchen duties, she directed 3 newer German employees in proper American table setting. Forks on the left, knife and spoon on the right, water glass at 1 o'clock position relative to the plate. Her knowledge of American dining protocols now exceeded that of some junior officers. Across American facilities throughout occupied Germany, German women's roles expanded beyond initial kitchen assignments. Military employment records from August 1946 document this evolution. 36% of German female staff had received promotions to positions of greater responsibility. Dining room management, inventory control, menu planning. These expanded duties carried increased wages, with top positions paying 230 Reichsmarks monthly, nearly triple the initial conscription rate. The proximity to American culture extended far beyond food preparation. German women absorbed American music playing on armed forces radio as they worked. Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, Frank Sinatra. They observed American dancing during evening functions, with jitterbugging couples executing movements banned during the Nazi era as degenerate. They watched American film screenings arranged for military personnel, glimpsing Hollywood's version of American life through films like Meet Me in St. Louis and Going My Way. I learned more American English from kitchen duty than my daughter learned in 6 years of school instruction, recalled Helga Schmidt in a 1975 interview. First food words: flour, sugar, baking. Then everyday conversation. By September, I could understand the baseball game broadcasts the Americans always played during prep time, though I never understood why they got so excited about home runs. An unexpected phenomenon emerged in autumn 1946. American families began sending packages directly to German kitchen workers. Military postal records document 1,147 personal packages arriving for German employees between September and December 1946. These care packages typically contained items unavailable in Germany: chocolate bars, coffee, nylon stockings, vitamins, canned fruits, and children's clothes. Each package represented a personal connection formed between occupiers and occupied through daily kitchen interactions. American officers' wives played a pivotal role in this transformation. Many accompanied their husbands to occupation assignments beginning in summer 1946, creating a new dynamic in base operations. These American women, often unfamiliar with German conditions, relied on local kitchen staff for orientation and assistance. The resulting relationships transcended employer-employee dynamics. Military social directories from November 1946 show 23 documented instances of American officers' families inviting German staff to private quarters for meals or holiday celebrations. The cultural exchange flowed both directions. German women, initially conscripted to serve Americans, found themselves teaching American women traditional German cooking techniques. Base newsletters from late 1946 contain multiple references to German-American cooking demonstrations: Bavarian apple strudel preparation at Stuttgart base, Black Forest cake techniques at Heidelberg Officers Club, proper dumpling formation at Frankfurt Women's Auxiliary meeting. These sessions represented remarkable role reversals. German comfort women becoming cultural instructors to their American counterparts. Holiday celebrations accelerated this transformation. Thanksgiving 1946 marked a watershed moment when German kitchen staff participated in their first American holiday preparation. The scale astounded them. Nuremberg base requisitioned 137 turkeys, weighing 2,458 pounds total, to feed 3,200 military personnel. German women, who had never seen turkeys before occupation, learned American stuffing preparation, cranberry sauce service, and pumpkin pie techniques. Most remarkably, military records show 86 German employees voluntarily working extended hours without additional pay to ensure holiday meal success. At Christmas 1946, the cultural exchange deepened further. Base commanders authorized German staff to prepare traditional German holiday items alongside American standards. The Frankfurt Officers Club menu from December 25, 1946 included both American turkey with cranberry sauce and German roast goose with apple stuffing, American mashed potatoes alongside German potato dumplings, American pumpkin pie beside German Stollen. This culinary diplomacy, the deliberate integration of food traditions from former enemies, occurred less than 18 months after Germany's surrender. The package phenomenon intensified during the Christmas season. Military postal records document 4,211 parcels arriving for German employees in December 1946 alone, more than double the previous 3 months combined. These personal gifts from American families to German workers carried profound psychological impact, demonstrating human connection, transcending official occupation policies. By early 1947, German women's roles had transformed so dramatically that military authorities created new employment classifications. Personnel records from January 1947 show the introduction of kitchen supervisor, service coordinator, and dining facility manager, positions specifically for German female employees. These roles carried responsibilities and wages comparable to American non-commissioned officers, a remarkable elevation from conscripted labor to respected staff. Applications for base employment reached unprecedented levels. Military employment offices recorded 12,176 German women seeking positions at American facilities in January 1947, a 30-fold increase from the conscription resistance of February 1946. With only 7,420 positions available throughout the American zone, selectivity became possible. Employment records show American base commanders establishing waiting lists, conducting competitive interviews, and requiring references, unimaginable luxuries during the initial conscription phase. The technological exposure extended beyond kitchen equipment to encompass the full range of American domestic innovation. German women who had never seen electric refrigerators now operated multiple units. Those who had washed clothes by hand now used automatic washing machines for tablecloths and napkins. Women who had kept written inventory on paper now learned to operate calculating machines for supply management. Each technological encounter expanded their understanding of possible futures beyond Germany's devastated present. "We entered American kitchens as defeated enemies," wrote Greta Hoffmann in her 1953 memoir. "We emerged as something unexpected, not quite friends, but no longer purely adversaries. We had been drawn into American abundance despite ourselves. The women who had once declared, 'Don't make us cook again,' now voluntarily prepared American specialties, adapted American techniques to German ingredients, and brought American recipes home to families who had never set foot on a military base. Through kitchen doors, America entered Germany long before the Marshall Plan made it official policy. This culinary diplomacy achieved what military occupation alone could not: the beginning of genuine cross-cultural understanding. As 1947 dawned, the kitchen revolution moved beyond base boundaries into German society itself, carried by women whose initial resistance had transformed into something much more complex. Cultural curiosity, technical appreciation, and the first fragile tendrils of reconciliation. Spring 1947, Frankfurt neighborhood. The aroma of chocolate cake wafted through Emma Schultz's apartment building, an impossible scent in a city still gripped by severe rationing. Neighbors followed their noses to her third-floor apartment, where Emma displayed her creation. A 2-layer chocolate cake with coffee-infused frosting, made from ingredients partly supplied by her American base wages, partly from periodic gifts from the officers' wives she now served. The cake represented more than dessert. It embodied knowledge transfer from American kitchens to German homes. Emma's practiced hands had mixed, measured, and baked with confidence born from months of American culinary immersion. As she sliced precise portions for her neighbors, each receiving exactly 45 grams, she explained the American technique that produced such lightness in a cake made with limited butter and eggs. This scene repeated across occupied Germany as kitchen workers brought American methods home. Surveys conducted by occupation authorities in April 1947 revealed that 83% of German women employed at American facilities had introduced at least 3 American recipes to their families. The knowledge transferred went beyond recipes to encompass techniques: food preservation methods, sanitation practices, efficient cooking processes, and ingredient substitutions. The economic impact reverberated through extended German families. Each woman employed at American facilities supported an average of 4.7 family members, according to military government statistics. Base wages, ranging from 150 to 250 Reichsmarks monthly by mid-1947, exceeded most available civilian employment. More significantly, these wages came with additional benefits: 1 guaranteed meal during shift, periodic food allocations declared as waste but intentionally overproduced, and access to American goods through the growing informal exchange network. Martha Weiss, employed at the Heidelberg Officers Club since March 1946, documented her family's transformation in a diary preserved in the city archives. Before American employment, we survived on 1,100 calories daily through rations. Now we manage approximately 1,800 calories. Hans has gained 4 kilograms. The children no longer have the swollen bellies of malnutrition. We have real coffee on Sundays. Most precious is the soap, American soap that actually produces lather, not the grey clay we used after surrender. The cultural diffusion manifested in German food habits. Items previously unknown in German cuisine appeared in family meals. Peanut butter spread on black bread, powdered eggs reconstituted for breakfast, canned vegetables supplementing garden produce, and the distinctly American combination of meat and sweet flavors in single dishes. American food terminology entered German household vocabulary. Hamburgers replaced traditional meat patties, sandwiches supplanted butterbrot, cupcakes, individually sized portions of cake, offered novelty to children accustomed to precisely cut slices. Children of kitchen workers developed distinctly Americanized tastes. School teachers noted these children bringing unusual items in their lunch containers. Sandwiches with fillings between two bread slices, rather than traditional open-faced butterbrot. Cookies made with American recipes rather than German Kuchen. And the occasional chocolate bar, still rare enough in 1947 Germany to draw crowds of envious classmates. These children became unintentional cultural ambassadors, introducing American food concepts to peers whose families had no direct contact with occupation forces. The cookbook phenomenon emerged organically. German women employed in American kitchens maintained handwritten recipe collections, notebooks filled with American techniques adapted for German conditions. These notebooks became family treasures, passed between friends and relatives, with the reverence usually reserved for religious texts. Surviving examples display meticulous detail, precise measurements, cooking temperatures, ingredient substitutions, and special techniques. Many contain English terminology alongside German translations, physical evidence of culinary vocabulary crossing language barriers. Helga Schmidt's cookbook, preserved in the Frankfurt City Museum, contains 147 American recipes, transcribed during her 18 months at the Frankfurt Officers Club. Each recipe includes adaptation notes. If American baking powder unavailable, use 1-2 teaspoon potash with 1-4 teaspoon vinegar. Without refrigeration, this custard must be prepared and consumed within 4 hours. American serving suggestion. Place ice cream atop warm cake. Prepare cake in advance, but add ice cream only immediately before eating. These notations reveal both technical knowledge and cultural observation. Industrial applications emerged as German women applied American mass production techniques to German businesses. In Heidelberg, Maria Hoffmann, formerly employed at the base kitchen, opened a bakery in November 1947, featuring production methods learned from American mess sergeants, standardized measuring, timed baking processes, and efficient kitchen workflow. Her bakery produced 300 loaves daily using 2 helpers, triple the output of traditional German bakeries with similar staffing. By 1948, 15 documented businesses established by former base employees operated in the American zone, each incorporating American production methods. The generational influence proved particularly significant. Children who tasted American foods during these formative years developed permanent preferences. Surveys conducted in 1955, a decade after war's end, showed adults whose mothers worked in American facilities during 1945-1947 consumed 240% more prepared foods, 187% more canned goods, and 163% more frozen items than demographic peers without this early exposure. These preference patterns shaped German market development for decades. The cookbook phenomenon spread beyond direct employees. Women who never entered American facilities obtained recipes through neighborhood networks. A 1947 survey by occupation authorities found American-style recipes circulating in 64% of Frankfurt neighborhoods, including areas with no resident base employees. This grassroots cultural transmission operated independently of official re-education programs, spreading American influences through trusted personal connections rather than institutional channels. Marriage connections created the most dramatic cultural bridges. Military records document 1,127 marriages between American personnel and German women between 1947 and 1949, with 37% of these German spouses previously employed in base facilities. These war brides represented the most complete cultural immersion, transforming from conquered enemies to American family members. Their letters home, preserved in various archives, provided detailed descriptions of American domestic life that further shaped German perceptions of American culture. Children raised in these early German-American households straddled both worlds. Klaus Schmidt, whose mother worked at the Munich Officers' Club before marrying an American lieutenant in 1948, reflected in a 2001 interview. "I grew up eating hamburgers and spatzel, speaking English and German, celebrating 4th of July and St. Nicholas Day. My mother taught neighborhood women to make chocolate chip cookies. My American grandmother taught my German cousins to make proper iced tea. Food became our common language when actual language failed." By late 1947, the women who had once declared, "Don't make us cook again," had become the primary conduits for American influences in German society. Through their hands, American abundance flowed into German scarcity. Through their knowledge, American techniques transformed German kitchens. Through their example, American prosperity became not an abstract propaganda claim, but a tangible possibility. One that could be tasted in chocolate cake, measured in powdered milk, and experienced through the simple pleasure of a full stomach in a hungry time. June 1955. West Berlin. Helga Brandt stood before her gleaming refrigerator, an American-made Frigidaire purchased with profits from her catering business, and arranged cold cuts on a serving platter. The refrigerator, still rare in German households, represented her journey from starving conscript to successful entrepreneur. As she prepared for her daughter's graduation celebration, Helga placed American-style deviled eggs alongside traditional German sausages. This culinary integration, once unthinkable, now seemed natural. 10 years after the Hunger Winter, Helga's kitchen embodied West Germany's economic miracle: modern appliances, abundant ingredients, and techniques that bridged German tradition and American innovation. Across West Germany, women who had once worked in American facilities shaped the nation's reconstruction in ways both subtle and profound. Economic studies from 1955 identified 1,247 businesses established by former base employees, restaurants, bakeries, catering services, and specialty food shops that incorporated American methods. These enterprises employed approximately 7,800 Germans, creating economic ripples far beyond their individual founders. In Stuttgart alone, 4 of the city's 10 largest food service businesses traced their origins to American base employment. The culinary landscape underwent transformation visible on city streets. German bakeries that once offered only traditional dark breads now displayed white loaves alongside pretzels. Restaurants that had served exclusively regional specialties featured American-influenced items: hamburgers with distinctly German toppings, ice cream sundaes with local fruit, and the uniquely German-American fusion currywurst, a sausage covered with ketchup-based curry sauce reportedly invented by a former base employee. These hybrid creations represented neither pure American importation nor German tradition, but something new born from cultural collision. Food preservation methods revolutionized German households. Women who had witnessed American refrigeration, canning, and freezing techniques became early adopters of modern storage technology. Appliance sales records from 1954 show refrigerator ownership reaching 24% of West German households, modest by American standards, but representing exponential growth from near zero civilian ownership in 1947. Home economists trace this adoption pattern directly to American influence, noting that neighborhoods with higher concentrations of former base employees showed refrigerator adoption rates 37%, above demographically similar areas. The business application of American methods transcended mere recipes. Former base workers introduced systematic approaches to German enterprises: standardized measurements rather than intuitive cooking, consistent portion control, efficient kitchen workflows, and modern inventory management. These innovations, mundane in American contexts, revolutionized German food service operations that had previously relied on individualized, apprenticeship-based training. Ingrid Weber, who began as a conscripted dishwasher and ended her military employment as a dining facility manager, opened Frankfurt's first self-service restaurant in 1952. The concept, allowing customers to select prepared foods without waiter service, came directly from American-based cafeterias. Germans were skeptical initially, she recalled in a 1970 interview. They expected proper table service, but the efficiency appealed to business workers with limited lunch breaks. We served 342 customers daily by 1954, when traditional restaurants managed perhaps 120. The cultural bridge extended beyond commerce. Former comfort women became Germany's most effective translators of American culture, explaining not just words but contexts, attitudes, and expectations. When American businesses began establishing German operations during the 1950s economic boom, they frequently hired women with base experience specifically for their cultural fluency. Employment records from American firms establishing German operations between 1950 and 1955 show 27% of initial German administrative staff had previous military base employment. Historical assessments of the kitchen worker program reveal its unintended consequences. Dr. Konrad Jarausch, examining occupation policies in his 1995 study, concluded, "The forced employment of German women in American kitchens ranks among the occupation's most successful re-education initiatives, despite being entirely unplanned." Women who experienced American abundance firsthand became more receptive to democratic market economics than those exposed only to formal propaganda. The kitchen proved more persuasive than the classroom. Modern reflections from surviving women and their descendants reveal the program's complex legacy. Greta Hoffmann, interviewed at age 92 in 2011, reflected, "They conscripted us as punishment, but the experience transformed our lives. I learned American efficiency, organization, and abundance. These lessons built my bakery business, educated my children, and eventually bought my house. What began as humiliation became opportunity, though we would never have believed it in that hungry winter of 1946. The statistical evidence of long-term impact remains compelling. A 1987 study comparing economic outcomes of women with base employment to demographically matched peers showed significant divergence. Former base employees had 47% higher average household incomes, 63% higher business ownership rates, and children with 38% higher educational attainment. These disparities persisted 4 decades after the initial employment period, suggesting profound intergenerational effects from this brief cultural immersion. German-American relations bear the kitchen program's imprint to this day. Demographic analysis of German-American friendship organizations in the 1970s revealed disproportionate participation from families with historical base connections. The German-American Fulbright Commission's records show children and grandchildren of base employees applying for exchanges at rates 84% higher than demographic peers. Each generation transmitted the cultural openness that began in those post-war kitchens. The final irony emerges in culinary education. By the 1960s, formal cooking schools throughout West Germany incorporated American techniques alongside traditional German methods. The standardized recipe format, ingredients listed separately from instructions, precise measurements, and cooking times, replaced the narrative approach of traditional German cookbooks. This pedagogical shift, seemingly minor, represented fundamental changes in knowledge transmission from individual apprenticeship to standardized education, a microcosm of Germany's broader modernization. "Don't make us cook again!" The desperate declaration of hungry women in February 1946 transformed over decades into its opposite. Women who had resisted cooking for occupiers became enthusiastic adopters and adapters of American culinary methods. Their initial resentment yielded to practical appreciation, then active integration of American abundance into German tradition. Through their hands, American influences entered German society not as imposed foreign elements, but as pragmatic improvements embraced willingly. Food preparation became the unexpected bridge between former enemies. The shared experience of working together in kitchens, preparing meals, teaching techniques, solving practical problems, created human connections that transcended political divisions. Each recipe exchanged, each technique demonstrated. Each meal shared represented small acts of reconciliation. Together, these accumulated into cultural transformation far more profound than formal treaty signatures or political agreements. Today, elderly German women who once served as comfort women in American kitchens witness their grandchildren casually enjoying foods that once seemed miraculous. Ice cream on hot summer days, chocolate cakes for birthdays, hamburgers at fast food restaurants. Few of these grandchildren recognize these ordinary pleasures as the legacy of that extraordinary transformation, when women who declared, "Don't make us cook again," became the unexpected ambassadors of American abundance, carrying its lessons into the heart of post-war German society, one recipe at a time.